Meanwhile, the Democratic Republic of Congo Prime Minister Sami Badibanga has handed his resignation as part of a deal brokered by the Catholic Church to end the political crisis in the country. It follows a speech yesterday from President Joseph Kabila in which he told members of parliament that he would name an opposition prime minister within the next 48 hours. Mr. Kabila said he would stick to the electoral calendar agreed as part of the deal with the opposition, which requires polls to be held before the end of 2017.
The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, says he will name a new Prime Minister in the next 48 hours. This comes after 2 United Nations experts were found dead in Kasai region last week. He said he had designated an operational sector in the country's restive Kasai region, where a worsening insurgency poses the most serious threat to his 16-year rule. He pledged to restore order to the region.
Taking into account the fact that the country must no longer be hostage to personal interest and struggle to position political actors, the Prime Minister will imperatively be appointed within 48 hours. Confronted with these unacceptable atrocities committed against innocent victims and the persistence of public disturbances which threaten the peace and stability of the country, we can no longer defer our responsibilities to reestablish state authority in this part of the country by all possible legal means. This is the meaning of the ordinance that I have just signed, putting in place an operational sector in Kasai.
However, negotiations to implement the accord collapsed last week amid a disagreement over the procedure for nominating a new prime minister from the main opposition bloc. Kabila in his speech said if the impasse persisted, he would go ahead and name a prime minister, a move fiercely opposed by opposition leadership.
For us, it's clear. We accepted one candidate. We rallied around one person who was well known. And there is only one rassemblement, and it cannot be divided. There are not two, and it is led by Felix Tshisekedi. It's clear we're waiting for the Prime Minister to come from there. Politically, you've got a social reading of a political Congolese reality.
Under a deal struck with the opposition in December, Kabila can stay in office until after an election required to be held by the end of this year.
The humanitarian groups operating rescue ships have rescued some 700 migrants off the coast of Libya. The Phoenix rescue ship, operated by the Malta-based non-governmental organization, rescued more than 300 people from 3 boats in international waters off the coast of Libya in Sabratha. Most of the migrants seemed to be exhausted, but according to the International Organization for Migration, some 600 people have died trying to reach Italy this year. And the International Criminal Court will hold a hearing on Friday, April the 7th, regarding South Africa's failure to arrest Sudanese President Omar Hassan Al-Bashir. Al-Bashir is accused of genocide and war crimes when he visited the country for an African Union summit in June 2015. The ICC issued arrest warrants for Bashir in 2009 and 2010 for masterminding genocide and other atrocities in his campaign to crush a revolt in Sudan's western Darfur region, but he denies the charges. Meanwhile, we told you yesterday that South Africa's President Jacob Zuma has again received the backing of a major decision body within the ruling ANC. The party had been looking at a complaint by some of its top executives that Jacob Zuma had failed to consult them over reshuffling his cabinet. Our South African correspondent Betty Dibia joins us now to give us more on this. Thanks for coming on the program, Betty.
Thank you.
Now, how are South Africans reacting to the fact that over and over again the ANC keeps backing President Zuma?
Well, you have a lot of uproar. A lot of people, there are so many marches that have been lined up to protest against the president. There are many people who want him to step down, even some members of what they call the Tripartite Alliance. That's the biggest trade union in the country, as well as the South African Communist Party. But at the same time, you still have those who are marching in support of the president as the ANC, saying, you have some of them raising racial sentiments. So it's a big uproar in the country, and we'll see. Tomorrow there is a huge march planned by the opposition party, the official opposition, that's the Democratic Alliance. And in that march, other civil society groups are supposed to join as well and protest at the union buildings, but apparently they were not given the permission to protest. So that is still causing a lot of arguments and debate in the country. And the trade union as well was supposed to be part of that, but the leadership of the trade union have already called on their members not to be part. So you see, it's divided, but that a lot of people are still up in arms against the president, wanting him to step down.
But Betty, did the president really have to sack the finance minister? Because looking at the uproar that has been caused so far by this action, it appears Mr. Gordon actually has a lot of supporters.
Mr. Gordon, we recall, was a former finance minister who was moved to cooperative governance, and then somebody else, Nhlanhla Nene, who was there, when he was sacked, another person called Des Van Rooyen was brought in for about 4 or 5 days. And when a lot of people started making noise about the sacking of Nhlanhla Nene, Pravin Gordhan was brought back. But according to, in the words of the president, or what Mr. Gordon said, the president said, well, they say you are good enough to calm the economy or to help boost the economy, so you can have this position back. So he has a lot of supporters, and he had a good followership as well. He dealt well with the international community regarding boosting the economy. Whether he is the only person to do the job, the jury is out on that.
We know that there's a lot to be said regarding this issue, but we'll definitely talk about this even in the coming days. Channels TV South Africa Bureau Chief Betty Dibia.